All right, let's talk debt limit. The Republicans blocked the bill needed to avert a government shutdown this week and a federal debt default next month. The debt limit, we're going to go very elementary here. The debt limit, it's a cap on the total amount of money that the federal government is authorized to borrow to fulfill its financial obligations. Think of this like an allowance. That's essentially what this is what is the allowance that the federal government has to borrow to be able to pay for things. Now, the Democrats are going to, what they want to do to avoid the government shutdown. They're going to propose a short-term spending bill that doesn't raise the debt limit that can win bipartisan support. So essentially, they just kick the can down the road. Don't worry about the actual debt limit. Just let's spend a little more cash. And the bill will most likely keep cash flowing to government agencies through December 3rd. So it's not a really long bill. It's just through December 3rd. Democrats highlight that the debt ceiling was raised 3 times under President Trump, and the vast majority of debt ceiling increases have been bipartisan. Now, I want to call out 2 important things before we get to all the quotes and charts that we have. First, they are not going to default. This is all a charade. It's all a game. Nobody that's a Republican, a Democrat, an independent, anyone watching this show or anyone up here believes that they are going to default. Why? Because this is all posturing and negotiating. Everyone wants everyone else to believe we're really serious. Oh, we're really going to let it default. And everyone else is like, no, we're really going to let it default. Nobody's going to let it default. This is all posturing, which is important because we will see things happen here, whether it's short-term spending bills, whether it will be a debt ceiling increase, etc. But nobody believes that they are going to actually default. It is all posturing. Now, the second thing I want to call out is that what we are watching is campaign events as well. So the Democrats yell at the Republicans yell at the Democrats, the independents sit there and yell at both parties. And this continues around and around and around and around. And it doesn't matter if George Bush, Barack Obama, or Donald Trump, or Joe Biden, or Bill Clinton, or Ronald Reagan, or Jimmy Carter is in office. This game's been being played for literally decades. And it is all about posturing, campaigning, and trying to get your way in a negotiation, usually about things that have nothing to do with the debt ceiling. It's usually about completely unrelated things or things that are tangentially related, but it's not actually about the debt ceiling. So what we have here is we've got a couple of different quotes. First, we're going to go to Mark Warner, the Democratic senator from Virginia. He said, we shouldn't even string it out until Thursday because of the enormous costs that are incurred in the pre-shutdown procedures. But I think we're there. How do we get through the debt ceiling? Still TBD. So this is essentially him saying, I know that we're not going to default. I know we're going to play the charade. There's cost to the charade, but we shouldn't play the charade. We already know what we're going to do. Let's go do it. Then we have Rosa DeLauro, I believe is how you pronounce it, the Democratic representative from Connecticut, who, does she have purple hair?
Yeah.
Oh, really? Oh, wow. All right. I'll have to learn a story about that. She said, quote, I'm sure there are very, very smart, clever people to figure out how you deal with the debt. Our first order of business is to keep the government open, which we are going to do. End quote. Scary idea that we have politicians saying, oh, I'm sure there's other very, very smart, clever people to figure out how to deal with the debt. I think that there might be a reason why we want the politicians to figure this shit out. But our first order of business is to keep the government open, which they are going to do. I don't think anyone up here or anyone watching this or any of these folks believe that the government's going to default. Do we all agree on that? Do you think they might default?
I think there's a chance.
What percentage chance?
I don't know, to be honest. I have no clue. I've never seen them default before. I don't know if it's even possible that they would let that happen. But I think the arguments on both sides are getting to a point that's just ridiculous, and they both kind of look like they're both like standing their ground for different reasons, and I think they both look a little dumb.
We call this kicking the can down the road. That's what they're going to do.
So we have a chart here which shows the U.S. debt rises irrespective of who is in the White House. And this is my main point with this. It doesn't matter. This is all posturing. It's all politics. It's all campaigning. Literally, it does not matter. The debt ceiling and the gross federal debt at the end of the year in the U.S. from 1981 to 2021 keeps going up. We literally just keep going up. Higher.
It looks
higher.
like a
debt ceiling.
Looks like a
debt
27X almost.
Debt ceiling. Look, it's like like debt ceiling, increased. Debt ceiling increased. Debt ceiling increased. This is the game. You can see here the red, Republicans in office, blue, Democrats in office. You can try to eye it up and say, well, I think the slope is bigger when the Republicans or Democrats. They're both doing this game. And the reason is because it has nothing to do with politics. It literally has to do that they are in a game that they cannot get out of. They are caught in a catch-22. They are running a budget that does not make any sense if you were to run the United States as a business. The United States is not necessarily a business, so I understand why they don't do it. But the idea that we continue to take in record levels of federal income tax every single year since the global financial crisis, and yet we continue to spend even more record levels of spending year after year after year, tells you everything you need to know. So I appreciate the charade. I love that they are so good at acting that they want to pretend like there could be a default. We're going to pretend that maybe, possibly, there might at a 1% chance be a default. And then we're just going to simply pass this other thing that is going to prevent it. So there is, in my opinion, next to zero, nothing zero, but next to 0% chance that there is going to be any sort of default because they control and can make the decisions, meaning the Democrats, and there is nothing that anyone can do to stop them.
I tweeted this earlier. Government's awful money managers. Most governments are. But this is turning out to be a perfect storm for Bitcoin.
Why?
High inflation, arguments over the debt ceiling, government shut. Like, this is the housing prices, everything revolving around the currency. It's turned out to be a perfect storm for Bitcoin, and I can't wait to see the next 5 to 10 years.
Hey guys, bang bang. Thanks so much for watching the Best Business Show today. And don't forget to check out our partner, SoFi. They make all this possible. They're a super app that lets you save, spend, borrow, earn, and invest all from one single platform. And if you go there today and you sign up for a SoFi Invest account, you can get between $5 and $1,000 for free from SoFi. Not everyone's obviously going to get $1,000, but everyone gets something. Don't say that I never did anything for you. Go check them out at SoFi.com/pomp. Download the app and go ahead and open an account. SoFi.com/pomp. And make sure you come back and watch more of the Best Business Show. We're going to build the biggest business show in the world, and we need your help.